Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Stage Side Podcast. Today's guest is Cole Crutchfield from the band Eastwood, as well as Torture Tomb. How you doing, Cole?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm excited to have you on with the recent Eastwood release.
Nice. Excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so right off the bat, if anybody hasn't heard it, It Never Gets Easy by Eastwood. Go check it out. It's on all the streaming services. 2 sweet vinyl pressings available through Pure Noise and Merch Now. A bunch of merch with it. I love the merch of North America, where the top says Canada, the bottom says Mexico, and then just our US says Eastwood.
But that's actually a Pavement rip.
Okay.
Like that indie band from the 90s.
It's a good design.
It's awesome. I feel like I don't want like people to take it the wrong way. I think we're trying to make like a political statement or something. But I feel like a lot of people know like, oh, it's a Pavement rip. So I just thought it was a cool design.
Yeah, and for the ones that don't, it's a pretty neutral color, so it's not nothing crazy. And now you're starting to see a lot of the like Detroit versus everybody, Cleveland versus the world. Like in sports, you're seeing a lot of different cities do that with their towns. So the Eastwood one, I really like that. And I haven't seen, like you said, it was a Pavement rip, but I haven't seen many bands do that recently at all, if any.
Yeah, I like doing a tasteful rip.
Yeah,
every now and then.
Works well. Let's just dive right into it. Eastwood, as I said, It Never Gets Easy, the album, absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
I had heard of Eastwood. I'd seen it on social media over the past year or so. Whenever you've posted anything, like if I've kind of dove into your profile, I've seen stuff about Eastwood. But admittedly, I had never really given it a full listen. It was on my radar of things I want to listen to. And then when the album came out, I seen, obviously you guys posted it. A bunch of other people posted it. We're sharing stories, and then Pure Noise posted it. And I gave it a good front to back listen. And I sent it to probably 5 or 6 people that day. I have a little group of people that I text individually about new music. And that was one right away. The Apple Music link got sent out. And I told him, and the one caveat, which you can definitely speak to, I told him, I was like, this is an album. Again, I'm a proponent of listening to all albums all the way through. But the Eastwood sound, I've found every song sounds a little different in the context of if it's heavier, lighter, if it's, lighter lyrics or more vulnerable emotional lyrics, more angry, aggressive type lyrics, all the way down to the sound of each song. I think this is one of those albums where if you listen to one of the singles, but then listen to one of the actual songs on the album that wasn't a single, you're going to get 2 totally different sounds. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever we were like recording the album, our producer was like, we were like making jokes about like how a lot of the songs sound different. Our producer's like, yeah, I don't really know what kind of band to tell my friends I'm producing right now. No, I think because like I wrote those songs like in the span of 4 years. And like a lot of the bands that influenced the later songs I hadn't even heard of when I started writing the record. So I feel like when I first started it, like because our EP was more like this shoegazy, like turnover type stuff. And I was really into that and I wanted to do that. So like a couple of songs like Waves and like Living the Dream are more like that style. Then as like the years passed, I started getting into more like indie stuff like that band Microwave, Deer in the Headlights, like this indie band from the mid 2000s. And I wanted to put more like indie influence in there. And then of course I love pop punk, and all of us in the band like pop punk. So I have a couple like pop punk, like more upbeat songs. So I feel like I was kind of like jammed all the songs together, and I think somehow it works. And like the way I like made the album flow, it was like it starts out like fast, and then like it kind of slopes down with like Fine, and it like ramps back up again, and like and that kind of ends with like the experimental songs.
I noticed that right away, and that's one thing that I actually mentioned to people, not as eloquently as you put it, but the sequencing of the album, it feels up and down throughout the album.
Yeah.
It's not front-loaded with just fast songs and then slow songs at the end, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Or just skips back and forth.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like write. Yeah, sorry. I definitely like record it like with this like a order, like a track order in mind, but we definitely thought like a lot, like really hard about like the track order just to make sure like the listener like didn't get like tired of hearing like the same kind of song. Or I even like had like the tunings in mind, like so like I wouldn't have like 3 songs of the same tuning in a row and stuff like that. So
Okay, so you took it pretty far as the thought put
Yeah,
into it then.
yeah, more than it probably sounds like. Just because I want to make, I definitely want to make sure everyone listens to the whole thing because like there's no like filler tracks in the record. Like I love every like we all love every song, so I want to make sure everyone like gets to the whole record.
And you were saying for fans of slash influences of microwave, Nathan
Hmm.
is actually on False Start, correct?
Yep. Hmm.
So how did that come together? Was that did you just reach out to him or did he reach out to you?
I've actually known Nate forever. So my old band Knocked Loose and Microwave, whenever we both did a Warp Tour, our managers like knew each other or something. So they're like, oh, this band like wants to like tour Warp Tour in like a bandwagon, which is like a mini bus. But like they want to split one with another band. So our manager's like, oh, this band called Microwave wants to split a band with you guys. And we never heard of Microwave before. So like checked them out. I was like, holy crap, like this band's incredible. And I pretty much fell in love with them since then. Like I was like a super fan before the time I even like met them because yeah, so it was really cool. Then basically we just spent like the whole summer together and we all got really close and I go to like all their shows that are around my area and me and Nathan and like all the members are pretty close and we talk on a regular basis. So yeah, whenever I was just thinking like it'd be cool to have a guest feature and then I just kind of heard Nathan sing on that song and I hit him up and I was like, I just asked him if he wanted to do like a guest part. He's like, okay, like send me the song. So I sent him the song and then he said he didn't want to do like what I asked him. He said he wanted to do like harmonies with me through the whole song. Then he like sent me back like a bunch of different stuff, like that slide guitar track, like organs, like this guitar solo. He did like all this stuff that like I didn't even ask him to do. Then he like gave some ideas of like the song structure and stuff too. So he kind of went like above and beyond for it, which is really cool.
Nice. So you sent him just expecting him to sing here and there, and then he kind
Yeah.
of ran wild with it.
Yeah, he like gave me advice. He's like I think it would sound cool if like instead of I did this part by myself, he like harmonized the whole song. And then he like did all this other stuff for it. So it was really cool. He did like way more than I asked him for sure.
Now, was this a song? How recently did you write False Start? Because you said you've been working on this album over the course of 4 years.
Mhm.
Was this a song you had been working on for a while, or is this one of the newer written songs?
Yeah, it was one of the new ones. I specifically remember writing it after I got really into Deer in the Headlights, which is a band that Nathan actually showed me because Nathan hit me up one day and it's like we should start a country indie band, and I was like, what does that sound like? And he sent me this Deer in the Headlights record, and I fell in love with that album. And that record's really cool. So it's like indie, but it has a lot of like Western and like folk influence in there.
Which record is that by them? I haven't heard them. I'll have to check that one out.
It's called a Small Steps, Heavy Hoofs.
Okay.
Yeah, they only have two records, and they're both like two of my favorite records of all time. Like they're phenomenal.
I'll have to check those
They're
out.
really good. Yeah, and after I like fell in love with that record, I wrote Fall Start and Fine, and those are the more like folky songs on the record.
Okay. So direct influence there.
Yeah, so that was probably a couple of years ago. I think that was about 2 years ago when he showed me them.
So with Eastwood, obviously the whole world shut down right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you guys have been having amazing reception online,
Yeah,
Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Everybody
it's been great.
posting their variants that they got, talking about how
Yeah.
excited they are, people sharing it. Once everything opens back up, what are the plans for Eastwood as far as touring?
Right now, like touring on a full scale isn't super realistic, but we definitely want to do like some like weekend tours. Like I feel like if we got an offer that was like a really sick tour, we would find a way to make it happen. Like we always like joke around with like Microwave asked us to go on a tour, which is like more feasible now since we're on Pure Noise. But I don't know, it's kind of weird because like two dudes in the band, well actually three have full-time jobs. I'm starting school like actually in like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So I'll be in school full time, then I'm gonna be working full time. So it's kind of difficult for us. I feel like we would have to do like like probably like a summer, like a winter tour, like something while we're all on a break.
And
Yeah, in between semesters. So it'll be that kind of thing. But I mean, who knows? Like if we end up like blowing up or something, and like I don't know, like we start getting like a lot of fans or something, I'm sure we would make it happen where we'd tour a lot more. I definitely wouldn't want to be like on the road for like 8 months, but like I kind of just want to feel it out first to see like if people are coming to the shows and stuff. But we'll see.
I think they will be.
Yeah.
If the online interest is any indicator, I think you guys will
Yeah.
do just fine live.
Yeah, and I think that's a good part about not that anything's good about anything being shut down, but Definitely for us, because like we weren't sure how serious we wanted to take it. So I think like putting this album out while we can't play shows is good because it's like a good feeler to see. Like, because I wasn't sure if this record was gonna go over well or just like completely dud and like no one was gonna care. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, it's just another generic like alt rock pop punk band. But it's been going like the reception has been really good so far. So I definitely want to get out there and play some shows when we can.
Well, that's exciting. And I definitely, if anybody hasn't heard it, I definitely wouldn't call it generic.
Yeah,
There's a good mix. There's a good change in vibe throughout the album. And then on one of the singles, Hate to Hurt, it actually starts with a pretty heavy guitar.
yeah,
That's another point in the album where you kind of establish, like you said, you have some of the more folky songs, and then $2 Hams, that one feels pretty pop punk to me.
yeah.
And then once you get to Hate to Hurt, it opens with that down-tuned guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And not that your attention was already drifting, but it pulls you in even farther. Like, okay, what do we have here?
Yeah.
Totally different. Was that a conscious effort to start that song so heavy, or was that something that you were just playing around one day and heard and liked and stuck with it?
Oh, that song. I feel like the way that the guitar tone, if you're talking about like how heavy like the guitar tone is, that's like just like chugging.
Yeah.
I think that happened because I was using whenever I recorded that, I was using like a really crappy like a Logic guitar amp, and it just sounded like super like fuzzed out. And I like I didn't really care because it's just a demo. And we went to go we recorded that before the record because we actually recorded that to like send it out to labels to feel out. And Pure Noise actually ended up picking it up, but we got to like our producer Jordan. He's like, I love that guitar tone. I was like, I thought that sounded terrible. Like I want something cleaner. And he's like, no, that'd be cool. So we just like threw like a soul and pickle like this fuzz pedal on there and just like made it sound just like super heavy. That's how that came about. But I didn't like intend for that part to sound like it's super like chunky, but it ended up sounding really cool.
So completely
So
unintentional.
we kept it. Yeah, pretty much. It's just like a crappy like a Logic amp that our producer really liked. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it.
It worked. I enjoyed it. And like I said,
Yeah.
it's especially where that song's placed in the album, it's a good change of pace. Not that the songs before were all blending together, but like I said, you have those pop punk songs, you have those folk songs, and then you have a tone that you haven't heard at all, at least that pronounced on the entire album. And it just kickstarts a whole nother feel to the album and the song.
Yeah.
And so you and I were talking before we started this. With Eastwood, you pretty much do all the lyrics, the guitars, the bass, the drums. You create everything, and you were saying you use Logic, and then you take it to the other band members, and they build from there, or just play what you've written.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what is that process like for you, since there's a lot of bands where the guitarist is coming, obviously they'll all work out together on a song, but the guitarist is coming with his or her guitar part, the drummer has their part, and then everybody kind of melds together.
Yeah.
Do you find you have more freedom, or is it more pressure to build a song from lyrics all the way down to how every instrument sounds?
Yeah, I honestly love writing that way. I like I'm kind of like a control freak when it comes to music, and I like having 100% input. And whenever I first started writing this record, like Waves and Living the Dream, I wrote like before I had like any kind of like a recording software or anything. So like me and my drummer would get together and like I would play like that. You know how there's like that lead in Waves that starts the song. I would like play that on a looper, then let that go. Then like Devin would hit the drums and I'd play like the rhythm guitar in the background. We would like kind of like write the song like that. And then like we recorded those songs like using like our guitar player's like fiance's microphone or something, using like this crappy computer. And then after that I got my computer in like 2017. Then after that I just started like recording everything in Logic. So pretty much like Waves and Living the Dream were written, I kind of like wrote those like on voice memos and then like kind of just like did it on my friend's computer. But then the other songs I pretty much just like sat down. I would like, how I basically write is I just like sit down on my guitar and like mess around until I like find something that sounds cool. Then I'll just build it around that, and then I'll just get into Logic and see what I can do, and then just like add like layers, like I'll add like a lead or something, or change the tuning if I need to and stuff like that.
So with Waves and Living the Dream, and by the way, the chorus on Waves, I mean, the whole song's great, but that chorus is undeniable.
Thank you.
I've replayed that one. I've listened to the album fully through a bunch of times, but
Thank you.
Waves is one where I found myself especially towards the end of the song. Sometimes even if I don't restart the song, I'll just drag the slider bar on Apple Music just back a minute just to
Thank
catch
you.
it again.
I appreciate that.
So that one definitely stood out. And that one actually stood out to me after a few listens. You guys had posted on Instagram asking people what their favorite ones were. For me, right away, $2 Hams, Hate to Hurt, and Two Story Window jumped out. And those were like my immediate front runners. But as I said, the more I listened to it, Waves just started making its way up slowly but surely to one of my favorites, if not my favorite, on the album. You're welcome. It's a phenomenal song.
Yeah, thank you.
With Waves and Living the Dream, since you said you were kind of limited recording those on a microphone and a laptop, how much did those change from the time you not initially wrote, but initially recorded a demo for those to the time where, like you said, you got your computer, you got actual good equipment, and then started recording? How much did they differ?
Well, Waves changed a little bit in the studio. That one kind of remained the same ever since I wrote it. It's a pretty simple song structure, and it's pretty much just using like that drop C open tuning, which we use on Living a Dream 2. But the only thing that really changed in the studio for that one is like we changed the like it starts out with like that looping kind of lead. Then we changed like that originally was supposed to be through like the entire song, and then like our producer didn't really thought that it sounded like kind of like too repetitive, so we ended up coming with a different like lead, and that's like whenever it kicks in, it has like that different lead, like the tone, whatever. So that changed, and then I'm trying to think what else. I think that's pretty much it. Like he hadn't, that's pretty much like the biggest change. Then I had like at the end, like how it sounds like super blown out. I just told him I could basically want to sound like the song was like exploding because it's like the end of the record and everything.
Yeah.
But that one pretty much stayed the same. Living the Dream too, like that's pretty. It's like basic like intro, verse, chorus. That's like before I started getting like a little more experimental with my song structure ideas. So those pretty much stayed the same. Like in the studio, we pretty much got in there, and producer's like, yeah, I like these songs, so we're just gonna keep them the way they are.
Okay. And you were saying your process for writing a song is normally you'll sit down, play guitar, and just play until something comes out that you like. Once you play something that you hear and you're like, okay, I can work with that, do you bring out the phone and record a voice note on that, like just let it record, or do you immediately open up the recording software and put down something more solid on there?
Usually I'll just like, if I feel like it's something I won't be able to remember, I'll like record that riff with my voice memo. Then I'll just kind of like sit there, and maybe it'll take like a few days, and I'll come back to it. But like I'll come up with like a riff or something. I think that'd be cool for like an intro or verse or chorus, and I'll just kind of like build around that. And I usually for Eastwood, I don't really open Logic until I have like the full song in my head, because I feel like a lot of the times when I try to write like based off one riff, everything kind of sounds like forced, because I'm like just trying to write stuff on the spot. I feel like it's just more natural if I like write just jamming it out, like recording on my voice memo and then going into Logic.
And then kind of put the fine touches on it at the end.
Yeah. And then like I'll put like leads over parts that I think need leads, or like just different like riffs and stuff. And yeah, that's the fun thing about Logic, is adding like all the layers and sound effects and stuff.
Yeah. So I recently, like I was telling you before we started, I work full time as well, but I went back to school for audio and video production. And of course, like I learned how to do video and audio all separately, and then, like I told Matt in the Citizen episode, the world shuts down and Zoom packages everything into one.
Yeah.
But that's always a fun thing. And again, if anybody's ever recorded, then they'll know it's not going to be exciting for them. But anybody that's just a fan of music like I was, that didn't know really anything about the recording process, whenever you see one of those digital audio workstations and you visibly see all the layering, and then you realize what bands can do and individual artists, how they can layer tracks and move pieces in and out. It's actually pretty fascinating, the process into recording. Which leads us, I want to talk, we'll switch gears real quick. Torture Tomb. Killing to See How It Feels. What genre would you classify? This is your other band where you're the vocalist in.
Yeah. And
what would you classify that for fans of Eastwood that haven't heard Torture Tomb?
Oh, Torture Tomb is just straight up death metal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Torture Tomb was basically going to give like a background on that. But Torture Tomb started because like two of my best friends, like we all went to high school together. Then like whenever we graduated, they moved to Denton, Texas. So we were all like into the same kind of music in high school, like metal and stuff. And then we all started getting down like the rabbit hole of like death metal and all that stuff. I like everything, but I was like super into death metal for a while. And I probably go down and see them like once or twice a year. And like one time when I went down and saw them, we just started jamming together and like just wanted to sound like this, like just wanted to like write these like death metal songs. We ended up like recording them and like putting like a demo out kind of like as a joke. And then whenever I got my like recording software, I like started just writing songs on my own, and then we started like doing stuff. So
Yeah, and it's
it's kind
for
of like a
anyone.
side thing.
Yeah, for anyone that hasn't heard it, it's definitely death metal in its truest form. It doesn't really have any of the, at least I don't think, the metalcore influences. Like
Yeah,
it's heavy riffs, heavy all the way through,
yeah.
crazy deep vocals, got some screams in there.
Hmm.
What is the, is there like a, do you switch kind of mentally when you're going back and forth between Eastwood and Torture Tomb, or is it,
Yeah.
because like you said, you listen to everything, and I too in high school, that's where I kind of found, like I grew up listening to like Metallica and the
Mm.
traditional heavy metal, but around 10th 11th grade, that's when I got introduced to bands like the Acacia Strain,
Yeah.
that much heavier side of metal. And even to this day, I'll listen to a country song or a pop song, and then
Yeah.
that same day I'll be listening to something metal or pop punk or rap. Is there a mental switch that you make going back and forth between writing for them? Do you separate the writing process, or do you kind of revisit each one months in between?
Yeah, well, as me, like now, I'm mainly into music that's not heavy. Like, if you listen to my Spotify, it's probably just like gonna be like country music or like pop punk or indie or something. I really only listen to death metal like when I'm at the gym, or like sometimes I'll get on like these spurts when I'm in like listen to death metal. But like when I like growing up, like you said, like yeah, I was into like Metallica and like Avenged Sevenfold, all that stuff. And like when I was in high school, I got into like all like the Hot Topic metalcore bands, and I was into that stuff for a while, but as a 23-year-old, I'm not anymore. And for like as far as heavy music goes, I pretty much only listen to death metal and black metal. I don't really listen to hardcore like metalcore or any of that stuff anymore. I was definitely like into that more like when I was younger, but yeah. So it's like weird. Like I'll like be super into death metal, and then I'll like want to write like a Torture Tomb song. So I'll sit down and like riff around with that. And actually, what we're like recording a split right now with our buddies, like AJ and Grant that are in Torture Tomb. Also, our bass players in this band called Combat, which is like a death metal band from Texas. We're doing a split right now. So I've been in Torture Tomb mode lately, recording that. But yeah, it just depends like what mood I'm in. Like I definitely take Eastwood way more seriously because there's like a lot of stuff in the Torture Tomb song. So like we just like joke around about like the lyrical content is like talking about like killing people and like just stuff that's like all it's just like basically just like horror movie and like song form. We're just like taking the piss. We're not taking it seriously. Like we're
Right.
not out there like killing people or anything. But like Torture Tomb, the lyrics and like music are just way more serious. So
So there's definitely some sort of delineation between when you're writing music for Eastwood or even preparing to write for
yeah.
Eastwood as opposed
Yeah,
to Torture Tomb.
definitely. This depends like what I'm into at the moment. If I'm listening to like a lot of country, I'm gonna want to write like a country song, or if I'm into like super into death metal at the moment, I'm gonna want to like sit down and play death metal. So just like it really just depends what I'm like listening to, what I'm into at the moment. That's pretty much how I write.
Okay. And so for Torture Tomb, is there going to be any weekend tour? Again, once everything's back to normal and it's safe to go out and tour and play,
Yeah.
is there going to be any weekend tours or anything for that?
Yeah, we actually we've been talking about it because I've been talking to our drummer a lot more recently, like because we've been working on these split songs. So we're talking about just like maybe during the summer or something, just like renting a van and playing some shows down in Texas. So we'll see. Like Torture Team's only played probably like 4 shows. I think they've all been in Texas because I'll fly because like I'm the only member that lives in Kentucky. They all live in Denton, so I'll like fly down there and hang out with them. We'll just play like a show at like some dive bar or something. But yeah, we might tour eventually. That split. I mean that EP we just put out did like a lot better than I expected. Like I got like a ton of good feedback and like a lot of the tapes like sold out and stuff. It's kind of crazy. So
Yeah, because you did cassette releases for those as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah, because that was like the first thing we released that like sounded decent. Because like before that, the production was just really bad. Even the production on that's bad. Like the new stuff we're putting out's way better because our drummer's like has like a bunch of different mics, like a whole setup now, and I'm way better at like recording my guitar and stuff now. So like I think the split's gonna sound really good. It's gonna sound like almost professional quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
From some of the pictures you've posted on Instagram of you doing vocals for Torture Tomb,
Mm.
are there songs where you're strictly vocals and you're not doing any guitar for Torture Tomb?
Yeah, so for Torture Tomb, I write the guitar. Except for the new stuff, actually, I wrote one song. Then our guitar player AJ wrote another song guitar. But live, I just do vocals. They've like suggested me playing bass, but I can't do that. I can play chords and sing, but I can't like riff and do those vocals live. It's too much.
I was going to ask you, how does that feel? Because Eastwood, obviously, you're singing and playing guitar, and I've heard some artists that do both between different projects. They say that the guitar is almost kind of like a safety shield, like they have something in their hand, they're up there.
Yeah.
How does that differ being on stage, just doing vocals, like having to carry the energy, and again, like not having to focus on guitar or anything? Does it feel crazy different, or is it not much for you?
It's definitely different, but it's not weird. Cause like for Torture Tomb, like live, I just like kind of like lose my mind. We all kind of lose our minds. Like usually we're under the influence of alcohol, and we just kind of go nuts and just like lose ourselves in the moment. I like just kind of act like a caveman and go crazy. And it's usually like small like dive bars and stuff. And for Eastwood, I'm usually more like composed and we're like more well rehearsed because we actually like all live close. In Texas, like I'll fly down there. We have like one practice at 2 in the morning. It's like, oh, next day we're playing a show, and like play at like 1 in the morning. It's like 5 people. It's just like a different kind of vibe, I guess. Torture Team's more like a party band, and like Eastwood's more just like my serious band. So we definitely take the Eastwood live show more seriously.
So, like an artistic release, like you said, you just kind of let loose and just.
Yeah, we kind of go crazy. Yeah, it's just kind of like an adrenaline release the whole time when we do Torture Team shows. It's super fun though. I always love playing shows with them.
Yeah, it's fun when you get to go to a show and when you can tell the band like that, like you were saying with Torture Tomb. And again, it depends on the music. If you're seeing a band that's much more composed and serious or technical or laid back, whatever their style is, then obviously that's what you want to
Mm.
see. But growing up, going to those hardcore shows, those metal shows, when you see a band and you see the members are just, they're in it just as much as the crowd, and
Hmm.
they're not trying to look cool, or they're not worried about, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. When you see them just go up there and lose their mind, it makes the show
Yeah.
that much better. The energy in the room just explodes,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's fun for everyone involved.
Oh yeah. It's super fun.
And with Torture Tomb, you told me before we started recording, you were taking care of the producing and the recording for that.
Yeah.
You admitted earlier you're a little bit of a control freak with Torture
Yeah.
Tomb, since that's more of like your let loose party, like atmosphere type band. Is there a lot of pressure on you when you're doing the recording and the production, or are you a little more free flowing with input from the other members?
Uh, it's definitely like way. I definitely take it way less seriously because I feel like with Torture Team, like the genre itself, you can't really take seriously because it's like death metal and like there's a guy like yelling that sounds like a Cookie Monster or something, and that talking about killing people. So it's definitely something you can take way less seriously, in my opinion. I'm way less of a control freak with that being too because that's more like my side project. Like Eastwood's just kind of like myself is like a I don't know. It's like myself projected into music. It's like I put everything that I have into that. And like the lyrics and everything are like super personal. And like Torture Team is just more of like me and my buddies jamming around, playing like just death metal that we're into. And like we don't take it too seriously. Like even for this last release, I was like, I told AJ, our guitar player, like, I don't want to write 2 songs. Like I don't have time. Like, can you write one of these? And he ended up writing like a really cool song. So I'm stoked that like he finally got to write one for this because his other band Combat's awesome. So I was stoked.
Torture Tomb is a much more collaborative, let loose.
Yeah, way more clouded, like way more like laid back. Like we don't take it seriously. Like it's like way more experimental. Like for this next album, we were putting like a Boss HM2 for the guitar tone, just making it sound like crazy. We just like try to make each release just sound crazier and crazier, and like we're not we definitely don't take it too seriously because it's like none of our like main bands. We all have like our main band.
Okay.
Like AJ from Torture Teams and Creeping Death, and like they toured Europe and tour around the country and stuff. So It's just like our side project basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. And like you said, being a fan of different genres, I'm sure as an artist, it's a good outlet.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're feeling like writing something crazier or more lighthearted or more theatrical that you can't put in Eastwood,
Yeah,
you can take that route with Torture Tomb.
definitely.
And then so we'll switch back over to Eastwood. And one thing, again, when I reached out to you to set this up, I told you one of the most interesting things to me was that dichotomy between the two records and the two entire genres of music. I mean, there are people that do it, and then there's other people that are in, you know, a hardcore band and they're just in a little less hardcore band, or a hardcore band to like a real traditional pop punk band. So there's not a
Yeah.
huge separation between the music. But again, Torture Tomb and Eastwood is night and day.
Mm.
When you're writing for Eastwood, you said you put a lot more of yourself into the music.
Yeah.
And the process of you recording all the instruments. How do you find, like, when you're writing lyrics, do you have a certain sound in your mind that you want those lyrics to go to, or a certain vibe of the record? Or do you have sets of lyrics written and then you have all, like, you know, a bunch of individual instrumental tracks and then you figure out what fits where?
Usually I don't write lyrics until after the song's done. It's really weird how I come up with lyrics, because like a lot of times, like I always write the music first, and like a lot of times I'll like be like, I like whenever, I don't know, it's like when I'm trying to come up with lyrics, I'll like play the song on guitar, then I'll just like kind of like hum like gibberish around it. Like I'll come up with like a word that doesn't really make sense, and I'll come up with like a word. Like whenever I was writing false start, I heard like I heard like false star or something, like that doesn't make any sense. I like false start, then I came up with like a theme for that song. It's just like, yeah, the way I come up with the lyrics is kind of just like I'll hum along, or just like sing like incoherent words together. And if something like sounds catchy, because like a lot of times like words will sound catchier than other words, so like whatever I feel like comes out, and then like I'll either like take something that rhymes with that, or I'll make something out of the gibberish to make it sound like false start, something that like was just gibberish, like false start, like does, I don't know, like I just kind of like made something out of nothing with that. That's kind of how like I write a lot of the Eastwood songs.
So you're essentially freestyling and then picking out what works.
Yeah, definitely. It's more so like I come up with like the melody, and I'll just kind of like sing gibberish around it, and like once I have the strong melody, I think of like words or like phrases that I'm feeling, or like maybe like different sentences that I've thought of or something, and then I'll just kind of like put song around it.
For anyone that, again, for anyone that hasn't heard it, some of the, I don't want people thinking that like, oh, he's not taking it serious. Some of the lyrical content's pretty deep, pretty vulnerable,
Yeah.
pretty open and honest.
Yeah.
When you're writing the music for the song, do you have that in mind of, hey, this is going to be like a more honest relationship type song? Like, do you have that emotion or that mindset when you're writing, or are you just writing music that sounds good and then applying the lyrics? Like you said, obviously you're humming and figuring out what you want to put.
It's definitely the latter. I definitely like write music that I don't like think like, oh, this is gonna be like a song about like a relationship or something, or like a song about like friends. It's kind of like whatever like comes out, I guess. Because like there's like some upbeat songs in the record that have like really like serious lyrical concepts. I mean, I guess all the songs really have really serious. There's no like fun songs about like partying with your friends or anything. But yeah, I kind of just like write the lyrics afterwards, and like I definitely don't really write the song in mind.
Okay.
Like with the lyrics, I guess.
And then I guess you make the lyrics fit the tone of the song then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the recent release, so again, I wanted to talk about your input as far as the merch, the vinyl pressings.
Yeah.
You have two pressings out now of It Never Gets Easy. One, I believe, is like a tricolor with a green, a swamp green, and then I think there's like, is it like a cream or like a white color into it?
Yeah, it's like a white. I forget the exact term. It's like swamp green, something yellow. It's like piss yellow or something. I don't remember. And then white, yeah.
And then the green, swamp green splatter, is outstanding. Like I told you, I ordered a copy. And that one, I've seen a few people open them on Instagram, and those splatters turned out perfect.
Oh yeah, those are incredible. I always love. I used to be a super serious vinyl collector. Not as much anymore, but like in high school, my holy grail was the Blink-182 like Hot Topic splatter, like the self-titled. Thought that was like the coolest thing ever, and I finally got it after spending like way too much money on eBay as a 16-year-old. But yeah, no, I've always wanted to splatter. It's like whenever they send me like ideas for the vinyls, like I definitely want one to be a splatter. So that ended up looking really sick. It looks just like the Blink-182 except like our colors. So I was super stoked how that turned out.
And that's the thing too. I've mentioned it before. The one thing, obviously, a lot of different record pressings look good, whether they're color and color, they're smoke,
Yeah,
smear, marble, whatever they may be. But I always love when the color of the pressing matches the artwork.
yeah,
It just makes it feel like that much more cohesive of a piece of physical art.
definitely. Yeah, I wanted everything on the album to pretty much like fit like their color scheme. So I like when bands have like a theme. I think it's like weird when it's not. I mean, like it's their thing, but I think it's like weird when bands have like an album like the vinyl pressing or like something's different. Like I like when there's a theme, and
Yeah.
I relate like color with like music a lot too. Like so like when I want sorry like when I want people to like listen to this album, I want them to hear like or like see like green and yellow and like more like fall summery colors. I think it's more of like a late summer fall record.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that makes sense. Because like some records sound like blue. Like our first EP was like more sad and like washed out. So the album cover is just like this picture of the ocean I took in Costa Rica and like super like washed out looking. So I think it's cool and like a album artwork like fits a vibe. I think album artwork's super important. Like color scheme's super important because it's like when people are gonna like listen to your record, they're gonna have that artwork in mind. So I think it's super important to have like the artwork fit the vibe of the music. You know?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad that you put that thought into it. Because
Mm.
again, it does change the entire vibe of the album or the consumer's perception of it.
Yeah.
And it does help paint a picture to it. And you were saying late summer, early fall vibes, the video for False Start. So that's
Yeah.
there's definitely some fall vibes with the woods, but then there's obviously, the summer get together
Yeah.
and then all the props.
Oh yeah.
What was shooting that video like? What was the thought process behind that?
Oh
How'd you
yeah.
come up with
That
that?
that was a hot summer day, but that was actually my idea. I had an idea. I feel like the idea was kind of lost on the video. Like the video is cool, but we didn't really like pay enough attention to like the storyline. But the storyline is supposed to be like we're going to the beach, then like our tire falls off or like something happens and like we can't go to the beach, so we end up just like setting up our beach stuff like in the woods like in Kentucky and just like jamming out in the woods. Like that was like the theme. But I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, it's like them driving through the roads, but it's supposed to be like, oh, we're trying to go to the beach and then it doesn't work out, so we end up like just having the beach party like in the woods. But that was super cool. I hit up my buddy I was in like in a band with him back in high school, but he's like super good at video production. I asked if he wanted to do it because we only had like a few weeks to like film it and get it out. And yeah, he came over and we all did it. It was super hot that day. It was like 90 degrees and like no clouds. Super sunny. So we were all like sweating our asses off and like before all the shoots, I had like a towel there. I would like rub my face and like make sure my hair wasn't wet because I didn't want to look all sweaty and like it was rough. It was super hot because like we moved. We actually filmed it in my parents' backyard because they have like a huge yard out
Okay.
in Kentucky, and like this like wooded glen back there, and it was like a super like perfect spot for like the live shot especially. But yeah, but we were all like my dad was kind enough to let us like move our equipment like half a mile from their house to like where the woods was, or else we're gonna have to carry it. But like we were carrying all that stuff through like the woods and put the work in. It was a long day and we were all worn out, but I think it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, and it's a fun video. And like you said,
Yeah.
there's definitely, if you watch it from beginning to end, you see the breakdown, you see the storyline. So
Yeah.
it's definitely there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's lighthearted, it's fun. So
Yeah.
definitely worth checking out. And then what was the process behind the singles coming out? So I know you had Hate to Hurt and then
Yeah.
False Start. Those were the only two singles, correct?
Full start. And this I Don't Need You was the other
Okay.
single. Yeah. Wait, no, sorry. You said Hate to Hurt and False Start, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually released Hate to Hurt, that single, and like that we did the music video for, and Hate to Hurt on the record are actually different. Yeah.
Not to be like, oh yeah, I thought so. I normally just do Apple Music, but
Yeah.
the other day I watched that video on YouTube, and it was enough to notice a difference, at least
Yeah.
to me, but it wasn't like, it almost had me wondering. I was like, I'm not sure if it was just like the way my TV was playing or what.
Yeah.
So that is different then.
Yeah, it's different. It's the same song. The only thing, so basically, like we recorded that in like January of 2018, I believe, and that we recorded that single because like at that point I had already written like every song except for Blood of Jesus, and we just picked like what I thought was our strongest song to like feel out and like kind of see like if labels would be interested. We ended up like recording that with the guy who like produced our record, and put like we had my brother film that music video, which is also a funny story the way we did that video. And then yeah, we put that out, and then like I still wanted to be on the record, so, and like we weren't super happy because like our bass tone wasn't really good on this single because like we hadn't changed the strings on our bass and like since I got it, because my bass player was borrowing my bass. So like on the record when we came in, we had Devin like re-record the drums with like new heads, like we like re-amped all the guitar, and we like we had Zach re-record the bass, and like he did like a different vocal effect. We kept the same vocals though, but like the only thing that was the same was the vocals. We like re-recorded everything else.
Okay, so it was a conscious effort to, I guess, either rework or improve in your mind the song then.
Yeah, and it sounds way better because like Jordan even improved like a lot in his mixing and mastering. So if you listen to like the single and then like this like the album version next to it, like the album version just sounds like so much fuller. Like the guitar tone just sounds so much better,
I'm glad you
in my
clarified
opinion.
that, because like I said, I was listening to it and I wasn't sitting down watching. I had it playing in the background, and
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, I think it sounds different. And then some time went by, and I was like, maybe it wasn't. Maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't different. But now that I know,
Yeah. I thought about like putting like in parentheses like new next to it, but I feel like it's so close we didn't really need to say like, you know, I feel like if people like hear it, they'll hear it. If not, it's no big deal. Because I still like the way the single sounds, so I wasn't gonna like write that off
yeah,
or
and
anything. So
at least from my perspective, it's not like you said. I don't think you would need the new or alternate or remix because it's not so drastically different.
yeah, it's the same song, just sounds better sonically. So, but the old version still sounds good. So it's, you know,
Yeah, they both sound fine.
in my opinion.
What was the you were saying there's a funny story behind the video. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we had plans to have our bass players like Buddy record it, and like we had like this whole idea. It was like really stupid, and then he ended up bailing, so we all showed up, and he wasn't coming to the video shoot. And my brother is like kind of into like photography and like graphic design, and I know he knows how to work a camera. He'd never like filmed anything before. So I was like, Devin, like, does your parents have like a home video camera? Well, actually, he lives with his grandparents, and he's like, yeah, I'll ask. So he drove like an hour round trip to like his grandparents' house to get a home video camera. It's like one of those like crappy like handheld ones that like your dad would take of you when you're at Disney World or something. He came over, and I was like, Seth, my brother is like, can you just film this? Like, I'll tell you what to do. He's like, yeah. So we just did that. So it was really funny. Like my brother, who had like no experience like filming a video, like filmed and like produced and edited it, and like did a really really good job in my opinion. And it has like I feel like the home video camera gave like a really cool vibe to it too.
Yeah, it gives it a different, I guess, what some people would try to achieve with like filtering now.
Yeah, it looks like it was recorded on film, but it was just like an old video camera, and like we were having to like plug it in because the battery was dying every 10 minutes. So we had to take like a break every 10 minutes. Like, yeah, that was an experience, but yeah.
That's a good process for your brother to learn. Just dive headfirst
Yeah.
in, and
No, he's great. I think we're gonna have him do another one too, like the same vibe. Like we're gonna use like an old video camera, like have him produce and edit it, because he's like really talented. And he has a good eye for that stuff, even though he's not the most experienced. And he actually, he actually did like a studio update for us. It's on the Pure Noise YouTube channel too.
that's what I was going to ask, because I thought I seen his name. I can't remember if it was either at the end of the video or in the
Yeah.
description that he filmed those studio.
Yeah.
Is it just one studio update?
Yeah, it's just one studio update. He's great. He took the picture on the album cover, and he took like all of our promos. He did the artwork, like the Hate to Hurt single artwork. He did like our acoustic EP artwork. Like he's sick. Like he's designed like merch for us, and Yeah.
That's exciting.
He-
Then
yeah, he's really sick.
you got a built-in
Yeah.
artist, photographer, videographer.
Yeah. I like having like everything in Eastwood like in house. Like I like having like my friends or like people that I know do everything. Like like my brother took that picture of like that's just like me running through a field. And like when he took the picture, he just like moved the camera really quickly to make it look blurred. Yeah, and then like my buddy who plays the guitar for that band Bliss from Atlanta. He's really good at like making like vintage kind of artwork, and I really liked his vibe. So I asked him to do like the album artwork. So I was like, "Can you do something with this picture?" He's like, "Yeah." So he just like made that border around it, and it came with like the green color scheme, and made like the font like made our logo for us. So yeah, it turned out really cool.
It plays well with the border, the color of the font, as well
Yeah,
as like the picture, because obviously you have those natural colors in the picture of you running through the field, even
yeah,
down to what you're wearing, like the shirt and pants.
yeah. I'm super stoked. Someone commented on like one of the pictures. They're like, "I love the cover of that girl running through the woods." It's like because all you can see is the long hair. I thought that was funny.
I think if you look at it, you can tell.
Yeah,
You can tell that it's you.
yeah.
Yeah, it turned out great. And I was gonna ask, didn't want to lose that story. I was gonna ask, with the singles, what is the decision process? What's the thought process behind what single you're gonna release when? And then obviously I'm pretty sure we mentioned earlier, you're on Pure Noise for this record.
Yeah.
This is your first record
Yep.
with Pure Noise. Do they decide the singles, or do you present to them what you want to come out in what order?
They do not. They Cahill from Pure Noise, like the guy who signed us, he's like second in command at Pure Noise, I think. But like he basically listened to the record and he hit me up and he's like, "Hey, here are like my favorite songs, here are my ideas for the singles." And we were mostly on the same page. We were pretty much on the same page actually. And like we like he had the idea of like because Pure Noise is doing a lot of like the thing where they do like two singles at once and they announce an album. Which I thought we were just gonna do one. I was gonna do Fall Start. I already had the idea of doing the Fall Start video. And so yeah, I definitely wanted the first single to be Fall Start. Then he was like, "Okay, pick a second single. Like I like Two Story Window and $2 Hams." And I was like, "I don't want two 4-minute songs as the singles, so I want to pick like Fall Start's like the indie rock song. Like let's put like a short like pop punk banger." So then I picked Two Story Window, so that was like catchy and like it shows like the pop punk side of the record. And then he's like, "All right, pick another one to come out." And then I picked "I Don't Need You." I don't think he really had an opinion on that, but I just want like because that song has like programmed drums in it, which is different from anything else we ever did. So I wanted to like showcase that for like the more like laid back like vibe. And yeah, and then we pushed like $2 Hams as like the album like release single, I guess. Like we pushed that on the playlist and stuff because we thought that was a strong song too.
Yeah.
But yeah, but basically like Pruners like gave their opinion and we both kind of collaborated on this single ideas, but ultimately like we picked what they were.
Okay. And then so you
Yeah.
you said you pushed $2 Hams. Is that for like the Spotify, Apple, like all those playlists?
Yeah. Yeah. So like whenever like I don't know if you saw, but like whenever Pure Noise or us posted like the albums out, there's like a clip of like it was like the graphic of album out now, and like there's the clip of $2 Hams playing. And, like we pushed that, like it got on like the new Punk Tracks Spotify playlist, which was really cool. Like that was like the single we're pushing. I think that was like Cahill's favorite song on the record, but I didn't want to like make that the first single because I thought that was like a little too pop punk, and I wanted to make sure that people got more. I feel like more of the vibe was like giving them the indie rock song and then like the full on pop punk song.
Okay.
So
Again, I've noticed that a million times. It works well.
yeah.
How big is that? Obviously, when these huge pop artists, Drake, Ariana Grande, all them, when they release a song,
Who?
yeah,
I was kidding.
like when they release a song, I'm sure they don't see much effect from being on one of these playlists. But
Yeah.
being on like a Spotify or Apple Music playlist, how instrumental is that to bringing in new
Oh,
fans?
it's
And
amazing. Yeah. So I have access to like our Spotify account. So I have like an app that shows me like how many people are listening at any given time, like how like what songs have how many plays. And like we got put on like an indie Spotify playlist and like the new Punk Tracks or something like that. It's already given us like over 1,000 plays in like less than a week. So it plays like a huge role, especially for like a band like us. Like 1,000 plays is like a lot. So it plays a huge role. getting on a playlist like that's like really good for us. Like we got like the NPR New Music Friday like twice, which is insane. Like that gave us 1,000 plays both times. So it's definitely a big deal for us to get on a playlist because like 1,000 plays to us is like a lot, like I said. So
I think Thousand plays the most bands.
yeah,
Again, pretty successful release, and being on those that drives other fans of that genre that may have known about you, just haven't got to the new release yet, or
yeah,
completely brand new fans. And I know for a long time it was like, I've said it before, I've discovered bands through Pandora where, it shuffles through. But it's good that these now streaming services have made like a concentrated effort to
yeah.
put their new music out there and grow these
Oh, that's
bands.
good. It's a really good way to find bands. I mean, like I said, I found a ton of bands. Like in high school, I found like so many bands on Pandora. Like that's how I found the main, and they're one of my favorite bands forever. Like I found like a ton of bands on like the Daily Mix and like listen to just like bands radio on Spotify. So it definitely helps a lot.
That's one thing I wanted to ask. So a lot of bands put up stuff on Bandcamp as well. And I know obviously that's not as
Yeah,
widespread as Apple Music and Spotify. What's the best way for fans to help support the band? Obviously buying the records and the merch, but through the digital providers, is it playing you guys on Apple Music, playing you guys on Spotify, given, the YouTube views? Like,
yeah.
what's the best way for fans of Eastwood to help
Honestly, I
support
think
you
that,
guys?
I mean the best way for us, we're not in this for the money. We all have jobs and stuff. Like I think the best way, honestly, is just like give a share on social media, like tell a friend, like give us a like or like a comment, because like that stuff means more than like any like buying like someone buying our record for $7 on Bandcamp would mean, or like like streaming on Spotify, because like just like sharing it around, just like telling us like what songs you like, just means a lot to us, because like we work so hard, and it's like whenever like we like I like recognize like anyone that like comments on the Facebook. I try to like reply to everyone like personally, like thank you, like because like we definitely like look at all of that. So I think like that means way more than like anyone buying a record. Like yeah, definitely like buying the vinyl helps a lot, but like sharing it on social media and like giving it like commenting on it and stuff like that interaction we appreciate a lot for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed your engagement both from your personal pages and then the band social media pages this weekend
Yeah,
was pretty heavy, liking, reposting the stories. And
yeah,
I like that you guys also, I know some bands do it, some bands don't. You ask people, hey, what are your favorite tracks so far? What tracks stood out to you?
yeah,
Of the feedback you've gotten from that, have any surprised you? Obviously, you're happy with all the songs you put out,
yeah.
but is there a song that's more of a fan favorite than you thought it would be that you've seen the response from that surprised you?
I think I think I knew that. Like I think $2 hymns and Two-Story Window are the most popular, and those like the poppiest ones. So I wouldn't say like I'm surprised those are the biggest. For some reason, Blooded Jesus has the most listens on YouTube. I think that's just because it has such like an inflammatory title. So
Yeah.
people like see Blooded Jesus like, oh, what the fuck is this song? Like, sorry, not the curse, but like, what's this song about? I want to read the lyrics. And there's like a couple of people like mad about it in the comments, but they totally missed the point of the lyrics. But I think, I mean, I haven't really been surprised, but I definitely appreciate anyone like that replies to it, because I try to stay on top of like the liking and reposting, because it's like our first week. I want to make sure like everyone that interacts with us like gets noticed, I guess, and like gets appreciated for complimenting us, because like before this record, like we were just like a nobody band that like like we played a show to one person one time. It's like it was just like a thing for fun. So like before this, like we always joked around like we literally had no fans, like nobody liked our bands. Like this is like insane that like people actually like it and people are streaming it, so it's really cool.
It's an incredible record, and again, from a fan standpoint, it is nice, not like chasing likes or follows or anything, but it is cool that when you take the time to comment to a band, or,
Yeah,
let them know how much you're appreciating the work they put out, and then even just the liking the comment. I've seen some people like
yeah,
replying to their own comment, like, "Oh, hey, thanks for liking this. Like, I appreciate it." But you guys showing
yeah,
that engagement and that feedback, it's a
yeah,
good two-way street for the band and the fans of the
yeah.
band.
Because I like hearing the feedback. I love hearing like what songs people like and stuff. Because because like they're like our songs. I like hearing like when people like our songs. Like so, I like hearing which ones people like, which ones people don't like. Which there, I mean, I haven't seen like any negative feedback yet. Like I've seen like a couple comments on Facebook or something, but that's a given when you're putting anything out there.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that Facebook guy, but
Well, if you don't like any of it, keep it to yourself. But
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think there's a weak song on the album.
Thank you.
And again, with the sequencing, the flow of the album, and you guys putting that effort in, it does not in an interest way of up and down, but it does take you on a ride. You have those different genre influences. You have some gang vocals on one of the tracks.
Yep.
You have more, I guess, melodic singing, more, I don't know if I want to say delicate, but a lot more singing. And then some tracks, you have some of those pop punk, alternative rock type screams, or just, louder, more aggressive style of singing. So it's got a good collection and a little bit for everyone, I think.
Thank you. I tried to, because I don't really like, I do love albums where like all the songs sound the same if it works, but I like love when bands have like a wide variety of songs and everything. I like every song has its own vibe. I want to make sure like there were no like filler tracks, and like every track was like a song like that people could come back to and play again. So I'm glad that that translated well, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And that's good to know that we can expect that on, fair to say, we can expect that on future Eastwood releases then as well.
Yeah. I'm already experimenting with some ideas, some wacky stuff and some like classic Eastwood stuff. So we'll see what happens. I'm still like trying to decide which route I want to go with the new sound, but we'll see.
Perfect. Take the chance, because everyone paid off in this album. So
Yeah,
I think whatever you do will pay off down the road as well.
Thank you.
And that leads us to wrap up every episode of the podcast. What I like to do is I like to have the artist, we can do it for Torture Tomb and Eastwood. I like to have the artist pick a few songs from each release or the entire catalog. It can be your favorite songs to play live, or if you're presenting to someone that's never heard the band for the first time, hey, here's X amount of songs that you should check out. So let's start with Torture Tomb. You want to start with Torture Tomb?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I know Killing to See How It Feels is the newest release, and you guys have singles and demos. So
Yeah.
I'll let you structure it however you want. Killing to See How It Feels, we'll do that one last. So we'll start with whatever your earliest release that you want people to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to give us, and I know, some of them are only 3 songs long. Just give us 3 to 5 total songs from the catalog that people should check out.
Okay. I honestly think we only have 6 songs out, but
well, yeah, because you got the demo, Flesh Feeders.
Flesh Feeders is like a 1-song tape. Then like we put like a cassette out with like the demo songs with it, and then we have a remix version of Flesh Feeders on the new EP. So
okay.
we only have 6 songs.
So let's go 3 songs total.
Okay.
And cool. If you want to just go with Killing to See How It Feels, we can do that.
I think I'd go with that, because like the first demo, we were just kind of messing around. We like didn't really like expect anyone to listen to it or anything, and like we recorded that like live, and like everything's recorded in mono. It doesn't sound too great, but we still like those songs for the sentimental value, because we all had fun that weekend when I went down. So I'd probably say like just listen to our new EP, because those are like our newest songs. I think the songs are getting like the most positive feedback, and yeah, okay. I think they're still good songs. I wrote a lot of those a while ago, but yeah.
So yeah, Killing to See How It Feels, listen to the full EP. Yeah. And then the good thing about having 6 songs, you can listen to the entire catalog.
Yeah. And I think there's still tapes available on Transylvanian Tapes, which is this dude out of Oakland who's like really, really cool. He's like this, like I think he's like 40 or 50 or something, but he like runs like this DIY tape label, and it's like we became internet friends to like this death metal like Facebook group, and he put out the tape, and it's been doing really well on his label. So go check out a tape there.
Yeah, and you can find it. You said Transylvania Tapes, and also it's linked on the Torture Tomb Bandcamp as well.
Yeah.
There's a link on there for people to check out. So then we'll go to Eastwood. We can do Past Ghost, and then if you want to throw the World Has Turned single in there, you can do the acoustic project as well, and then It Never Gets Easy. So you can do, I guess we'll do 2 songs off Past Ghost. That way we don't do the full project.
So that's easy, because I like really hate the way that a lot of the songs sound on Past Ghost. No, I'm just joking. I like those songs. The way they recorded wasn't super great, because we recorded with my friend, and like that was like his first like softer band he produced, and like it like the way the vocals were recorded, I'm not a huge fan of. But I think Alone's still a pretty good song, so I'd go with Alone and Float probably.
Okay.
Yeah, the other songs kind of sound a little messy. Like the production got a little messy in there.
Okay.
But that's okay. That was our first try. That's basically like our demo, I guess.
There's bands where, and I like that bands put stuff out like that and then leave it, at
Yeah,
times, because there's been, especially, so I grew up in like the LimeWire, Napster, BearShare
yeah,
era where you would just, download a bunch of singles and rip music. So sometimes you would just find the demos, and then,
yeah,
once you later got access to the full album, it'd sound completely different, or,
yeah,
a lot different than what you were used to hearing. So I like some of that more raw sound sometimes. And then I like when bands put that out and then they leave it. Like you can go back and rework it, obviously, and, do like a reimagined version of the song, and that's fun.
yeah.
But it is cool to hear, especially on like first attempts of projects being released.
Yeah, I didn't want to take it down because it sounds a lot different than our full length. And there's actually been like a couple of people that told me like, "Oh, I still listen to those songs," and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll leave it then." Even though I don't like them, like there's a lot of bands that like will change their sound and like delete all their old stuff off Bandcamp. It's like, come on, like why'd you do that? Like leave that there.
There's a few bands I listen to that have done that, and
Yeah,
luckily I have, like digital copies on the computer and iPod
yeah.
and stuff.
There's always something on YouTube, but then you can't close your phone and listen to YouTube, so
Yeah,
it's not fun.
leave the old music up. I've heard some artists say once they put something out, they're like it's to the world now.
Yeah,
You
it's
could
out
go and
there,
delete it, but they're like, it's someone may have attached a meaning to it or had a moment in their life that song did something for them, so
Right.
they just leave it. So that's cool that you guys left that out there then.
Yeah.
And then so that'll take us to In My Dreams. You want to just give us one song off of there, one of the acoustic
Yeah.
songs?
Yeah. Actually, I like that EP a lot. That was I thought it came out really cool. I think I'd probably go with Float. I think Float sounds really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have Float from there, and
Yeah.
then that takes us to It Never Gets Easy.
Yeah.
My recommendation's all 11 songs, full album. But we'll do 3 songs off of there since that's a
Okay.
full length.
Okay. I'll just pick my favorites. I think my favorites right now are probably Fine, Blood of Jesus, and I Don't Need You.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, you heard it straight from Cole. Build your playlists, check those songs out, and as always, listen to the album in full, and then build your playlist. Don't do your playlist
Yeah.
first. So, well, yeah, Cole. Like I said, I appreciate you being on.
Hey, dude. Thanks for having me.
I'd heard the album right on the release, and I reached out to you. And again, admittedly, I'd heard some Eastwood, but wasn't like dove all the way in. I was aware of the band, and then once I heard the full release, I think I commented on one of the things. I was like 7 songs in. I was like, I'm already like, I
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
was like 7 songs in. I was like, I'm loving it. Like, I need to hear the rest of it, and I want to talk to you about the
Cool,
process
man.
of the band.
Hey,
And
dude. Yeah. Thanks for talking about it. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, I appreciate it. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up here, and then as always, we're gonna do a bonus video with Cole, where he's gonna give us behind the scenes look of either a song, one of his past projects, something with touring, just something exciting for the fans that's not out there already. So do us a favor when you're done here, just like and subscribe to the video, and I'll link Cole, Eastwood, and Torture Tomb. I'll link all their socials in the description below. Make sure you follow them. Give us a comment. Let us know what your favorite song is from each band. Go comment on theirs. Let them know. Send it to a friend. Send it to your mom, dad, grandparents.
Yeah.
Get people
All of them.
listening to it,
The
and
dogs.
give the feedback. So thank you for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.